Hello guys, welcome to my channel Chem Insider. So in today's class we are going to discuss about a topic called conductivity of electrons in a solid state. So conductivity of electron, a substance can conduct electricity under two conditions. If it is an electrolyte, it conducts electricity because of motion of ions, movement of ions. If it is a metal, it conducts electricity because of movement of electrons. So conductivity is completely depending upon either ions or electrons present in a given system. Conductivity of solids. So conductivity of solids depending upon two. One is, if it is an electrolyte, it depends upon the movement of ions. If it is a metal, it depends upon the movement of electrons. As we know, we have certain ionic solids and we also have some metallic solids. As we have discussed in the second class, that is during the classification of crystalline solids, we discussed about ionic solids and metallic solids being a bit better conductors of electricity. Okay, a conduction of this electricity is because of overlapping of bonds or atoms, overlapping of atomic bonds with conduction bands. That is, if you consider an atom such as like this, so this atom has valence electrons present in it. So let us say these are the valence electron. If one atom is overlapping with another atom, so this completely is forming a molecular bond, right? So this completely is forming a molecular bond, which we have discussed in, which you can observe in the conductions of coordination theory, molecular bond theory. So this has electrons present in it. Okay, so this molecular bond is energy completely called as valence band, because these two bands of the atomic orbitals have electrons present in its band. So therefore these two are called valence band. If the energy of the valence band is almost close to the conduction band, so what is this conduction band? So conduction band comes into play when there is a property of conductivity of electron. If a substance has energy equal to conduction band, then that substance can conduct electricity. Okay, so on that basis we consider conductivity of a solid, or a solid are classified into three types depending upon the conduction of their particular elements or atoms present in it. So those are conductors, insulators, conductors, second one insulators, and third one semiconductors. Conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. So out of these three, they are classified on the basis of their energy bands. Conductors have energy band of about 10 power 4 to 10 power 7. So they have conduction of 10 power 4 to 10 power 7 per ohm per meter amount of conductivity, whereas insulators has about 10 power minus 20 to 10 power minus 10 per ohm per meter, and whereas for the semiconductors it is in the range of 10 power minus 6 to 10 power 4 per ohm per meter. So this is the conductivity range of conductors, respective conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. Okay, conductors have a conductivity range of 10 power 4 to 10 power 7, insulators have a conductivity range of 10 power minus 20 to 10 power minus 10, and semiconductors have conductivity range of 10 power minus 6 to 10 power 4. So these are the three types of conducting substances: conductor, insulator, and a semiconductor. So how can we classify a substance as a conductor, insulator, or semiconductor? So this can be explained on the concept called band theory. Band theory of conduction. That is, if you consider this as the energy of conduction band, so if a substance, if let us consider the basic of conduction band, so this is the energy of conduction or the band of conduction at this energy level. Okay, so these are the conduction bands. If a substance has its valence band, almost next to conduction band, just like this. If a substance has its valence band almost touching with conduction band, then that type of substance is called conductor. If a substance has its valence band next to touching to conduction band, what happens over here is the valence electron present in the valence band, can jump into the conduction band and starts conducting electricity. So the valence electrons present in the valence band jumps to the conduction band and starts conducting electricity. For the second one, if there is some slight gap between valence band and conduction band, if there is a slight gap between valence band and conduction band, let us say like this. So these are the electrons. So this the jump of electrons can be managed by or increased by increase in temperature. If we increase the temperature of the valence band, what happens is this valence band, the valence electrons present in the valence band can jump to the conduction band and can conduct. This can be increased by increasing in temperature or adding some impurities to it. So this type of conduction is called semiconductors. These are called semiconductors. And the last one is, if we have the valence band very far away from conduction band, that is, if there is a huge gap between valence band and conduction band, this gap is called energy gap. If there is a huge energy gap between valence band and conduction band, then the electrons cannot jump to the conduction band from valence band. The electrons cannot jump to the valence band to conduction band. Hence, those substances cannot conduct electricity. So those type of substances are called insulators. Those type of substances are called insulators. So that is, there are three types of substances depending upon their electrical conductivity. One, which are conductors, in which the valence band are slightly less below conduction band, where the electrons can jump to the conduction band in order to conduct electricity. Second one is the semiconductors, where the valence band and the inner scale conduction band have a slight gap between them, which can be overcome by increasing the temperature or adding some impurities. And in the third case, the gap between the valence band and the conduction band will be very high, which cannot be overcome by either by increasing the temperature or by increasing the impurity. This type of substances are called insulators. So these are the three types of insulators which can be classified under the concept of band theory. Next is, we are going to discuss more about the semiconductors. So how can we achieve a semiconductivity of a compound, or what are the uses of semiconductors and all. So first we'll start with how can we increase the conductivity of a semiconductor. So as I said, a conductivity of a semiconductor can be increased by increasing temperature. That is an usual case. So increasing the temperature of the semiconductor, we can increase the conductivity of the given semiconductor. But usually what we do is, we use a simple method of adding some impurities to the semiconductor. So the process of adding that impurities is called doping. That means we are adding some impurities which are either electron rich or electron deficient. So in order to make the electrons present in the semiconducting substances to move or to have a motion. So that type of conductivity or addition of substances is called doping, and that type of conductivity is called intrinsic semiconductors. Those type of semiconductors are called intrinsic semiconductors. So this conductivity is induced by addition of impurities. So there are two types of impurities. First one is electron rich impurity. one is electron rich impurity and the second one is electron deficient impurity. Electron rich impurity and the other one is electron deficient impurity. So the electron rich impurities are the elements or non-metals present in group 15 of the periodic table. Electron rich impurities are the atoms or elements present in group 15. For example, phosphorus or arsenic. Phosphorus or arsenic. We can use those two as electron rich impurities. For the electron deficient impurities, we use elements of group 13. Example, boron, aluminium and gallium, especially aluminium and gallium. Okay, so those are the examples for electron deficient impurities. So how does this occur? How does this help for semiconduction? So let us consider an arrangement of group 14 elements. That is, we can conduct semiconductors are those which are in the group 14. So the group 14 elements that are silicon and germanium. These are the two usually commonly used semiconductors. So if we react or treat silicon with our electron rich species, so silicon has 4 valence electrons in it. Silicon has 4 valence electrons in it. Let us write it on white. So these are the 4 valence electrons of silicon, and if you place arsenic next to it, so they are bonded just like this. Okay, each of the arsenic is further bonded with different silicons, such as like this. So now this silicon has 4 electrons. This has 4 and one silicon over here has 4. So this is the arrangement of electrons in silicon and arsenic impuritized semiconductor. But what we observe over here is silicon has 4 valence electron, whereas our electron rich G15 group 15 elements like phosphorus and arsenic have 5 electrons, which results in one more valence electron, which is completely free to move in all directions. So there will be one electron of the valence shell of phosphorus or arsenic, which will be in no attraction with silicon or arsenic and can be moved in all directions. So these are the electrons which help in conducting a semiconductor. Okay, so the electrons of arsenic in the valence shell helps the semiconductor in order to conduct electricity by their motion. So this is how we get an semiconductor by adding electron rich impurity, that is by creating a valence electrons of one of the group 15 element. So those valence electrons move all around the semiconductor, which are connected to an electrical circuit conducts electricity by motion of electrons. So this is about the electron rich. Since we get these semiconductors in the presence by use of negative charged electrons, we call it as N-type semiconductor. Since the electron rich impurity induced current is formed by the negative charged electrons, this type of semiconductors are called N-type semiconductor. This type of semiconductors are called N-type semiconductors. Now for electron deficient species, let us take again silicon with 4 electrons at each of these positions. So now these are bonded with our electron deficient species such as aluminium. As we know, aluminium has 3 valence electrons, right? So aluminium has 3 valence electron. Therefore, in order to get bonded with one more silicon, let us consider this as one aluminium, and we have one over here, one here. We have silicon with 4 electrons. and one silicon over it, 4 electrons. So silicon gets bonded with 4 electrons, right? Similar to like this. If you observe over here, so there will be 1 electron of other aluminium. So aluminium has only just 3 valence electron, which makes them to create a vacant site of electron while get bonded to silicon atoms. So this vacant site is called holes. This vacant site is called holes, which are positive in charge. That is, we have no electrons present over there. Therefore, those holes are considered as positive species. So what happens in this case is the electrons present on the other aluminium starts filling these holes. The electrons present on the other aluminium atoms jumps to these holes in order to fill up the hole. But what it does is it eventually leaves behind one more hole at the other position, its original site position. Similarly, if an electron from here gets jumped over that position, we have electron occupied here, but the hole has been shifted to this place. So what happens is here internally we are observing that with the motion of holes, there we are also observing the motion of electrons. Okay, since there is a motion of electrons in order to cover up the holes created by the previous electrons present over there, we are clearly observing movement of electrons from one hole to other position, its original site to the hole site, thus creating movement of electrons. This movement of electrons is fairly because of the positive charged hole. Therefore, this type of semiconductor is called p-type semiconductor. That is positive type semiconductor. This type of semiconductor is caused because of the positive charged holes. Hence, it is called p-type semiconductor. So, if you observe carefully, we have 2 types semiconductors. One is n-type semiconductor and the other one is p-type semiconductor. So, n-type semiconductor is obtained by adding impurities of group 15 to group 14 silicon and germanium, and group electron deficient or p-type semiconductor is obtained by adding electron deficient species of aluminum or gallium to the 14th group silicon or germanium. So now this is about the semiconductors. Now for the uses of semiconductors, what we can do is, if we arrange 2 n-type of semiconductors and bonding, and between them if we keep a p-type semiconductor, we get NPN type of transistor. That is, if a positive charged, if a p-type semiconductor is sandwiched between 2 n-type semiconductors, this called as NPN transistor. This is called as NPN transistor. And if you sandwich one n-type semiconductor between 2 p-type semiconductors, then that is called PNP transistors. So this PNP transistors and NPN transistors and these semiconductors, which are all useful in our electrical circuits in order to form diodes and audio receiving signals, etc. So semiconductors are very useful in case of electrical conductivity for preparing diodes or radio amplifying devices such as like that. So this is all about the conductivity of solids. That is, we have 3 types of conductivity of solids: solids which are conductors, solids which are insulators, and solids which are semiconductors. And how we get the semiconductors? We can get semiconductors, increase their conductivity either by increasing its temperature or by adding impurities. So on the basis of adding impurities, we have 2 types. One is electron rich impurity and the other one is electron deficient impurity. Once you add electron rich impurity, we get n-type semiconductor. If you add electron deficient impurity, we get p-type semiconductor. So these are the 2 types of semiconductors, and we have discussed the number of examples with it, uses of n-type and p-type semiconductors. So this is all for today. If you have any doubt regarding this topic, please comment down below. You can also mail me at the email ID which I have given in the description box. If you like the video, please do subscribe to my channel and share among your friends so that they can also get the use of these videos. And please subscribe my channel in order to get more video updates of new topics. Thank you.